This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so obviously, I think Lieutenant Mann, you know me. I am Shelley Katz, and I'm from Hastings-on-Hudson, but I am a steering committee member for WCPR, as well as part of Moms Demand Action, which is where we know each other from. So happy that you were able to join us tonight. We're really looking forward to our discussion. I just want to, I'm sorry, I'm just going to close the door because the dog's going to come in and bother us. I just want to give you all some background on both Deputy Commissioner Lackard as well as Lieutenant Mann before we get started. Deputy Commissioner cannot be with us, but I thought people would be interested in hearing about this. She is a deputy commissioner for Mount Vernon Police Department and the first female civilian sworn in to oversee police reform, officer and community wellness, and diversionary efforts for the city's most vulnerable populations. She co-led the Mayor's Police Reform Commission, created a peer diversion youth court for youth ages 12 to 17, and launched a new division within the department, which is what we're going to be talking about. For residents with mental health, substance use condition, domestic violence survivors, formerly incarcerated persons, the homeless, aging and elderly, youth and veterans. That's Deputy Commissioner Lackard. And Lieutenant Krista Mann, here with us, has a BA in criminal justice. She worked as a social worker prior to becoming a police officer. She's a 17-year veteran of the Mount Vernon Police Department, has held positions in patrol, street task force, intelligence unit, internal affairs, and detective division. She's been committed to community engagement throughout her career and prior to becoming a police officer. She's held rank of a supervisor since 2015. And in 2019, she was promoted to the rank of lieutenant, becoming the first African-American woman to hold that rank in MVPD as well as Westchester County. Lieutenant Mann previously was the executive officer of the detective division, and she is currently the commanding officer of the wellness division. So again, thank you so much for being here with us and enlightening us about this really interesting new approach to helping vulnerable individuals that are in crisis. Just to give people a very quick background, and then I'll let you get into the details. This is focused on a public health model and diverts those in vulnerable populations from entering the prison system, getting these people services rather than handcuffs. They help to de-escalate situations and connect people with the help that they need. As I was mentioning before, elderly, those with mental health issues, veterans, the homeless, and also focuses on teens. So if you could just give us a little general background about the wellness division and how it came to be started.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, again, thank you guys very much for allowing me to come and inviting me to want to hear about this new initiative that we have going on. The Wellness Division is a groundbreaking initiative by the Mount Vernon Police Department. It was directed and created by Deputy Commissioner Lackard, who heard the extensive background that she has. I am the commanding officer of that division. We have a wellness precinct, which is an off-site precinct to the police department, so that the work that we do, people can feel a little bit more comfortable as opposed to coming to the actual police headquarters. We are located at 203 Gramerton Avenue in Mount Vernon. We have been in operation since March 1st, 2022. We are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to midnight, excluding, of course, certain holidays, but usually by appointment only. The wellness precinct is staffed by 2 officers on each shift, And on the day shift, we also have in the role of a therapist for case management, individuals from the Guidance Center of Westchester. In the evenings, we partner with the Guidance Center of Westchester in their homeless outreach program. And going forward, we hope to also partner with Archway and Choice. The purpose of the Wellness Division is to work in collaboration with Patrol to enhance and oversee case management for the 8 targeted vulnerable populations, which were, most of them were in DC Lockert's bio. So we deal with youth, reentry, veterans, homelessness, mental health, the aging and the elderly, substance abuse, and domestic violence. The wellness officer also responds to certain calls in crisis. We utilize the different police practices such as community, restorative justice, compassion, collaboration, 21st century, trauma-informed, procedural justice, and crisis intervention. The wellness officer also responds on a scene when in a moment of crisis to create a bond with the individual at the time of the crisis and making all efforts thereafter to link that individual with services so that the goal is to enhance their wellness in their life and decrease the need for future police contact. And also to what Shelley had stated, with also trying to, for those persons who their crisis does not deem it's not criminal, that we want to actually get them to the resources that they need instead of in the criminal justice system where they may or may not receive the actual help that they need. In addition to serving the community, the Wellness Division also services the members of Mount Vernon Police Department who also themselves may need resources. As you know, mental health is not something that's just going to happen in the community. It's going to happen in every individual and everyone's family. So we also want to make sure and ensure that those who are sworn to protect and serve everyone else are also getting serviced by the Wellness Division. If anyone needs it, and I'll put it also in the chat for those who don't have our phone number, it is 914-465-2765. We also have an email, which is www.mvpdwell.com. And I'll also put my email in the chat as well for anyone who would like to reach out to us. We are a new division, but it is extraordinary. In the press conference, I think they said they don't have anyone doing this throughout Westchester County. And in the small amount of time that we have been on board, and was really a small unit, just getting the feedback from the community of families just appreciating in the moment, not having to feel over policed and actually being able to be more so heard. And it's not because the police weren't listening before, but it's just a different training and a different aspect that we're coming from. Even myself, like in my bio, it says that I, did community service before. So I've always thought I've been a community servant as a police officer, but it wasn't until coming into this unit, and I'm still learning every day, learning the different aspects of actually how to further help the 8 vulnerable targeted populations. Whereas before you would leave the scene and it's like, okay, well, I did the best I could and I've stopped it in this moment. But later on down the line, maybe you addressed one of their issues, but you didn't address that they're homeless. You didn't address that they have mental health issues. You didn't address that maybe they're veterans. So only focusing on one thing doesn't really help a person if they have a totality of different things going on in their life. And so that's what the Wellness Division is really particularly in doing on, is that we have the ability of the case management aspect to continue to roll with these individuals and making sure that they have the links that they need to get to either the resources that they didn't know, or maybe the resources that they already have, and ensuring that those resources are actually fulfilling their obligations to the individual to better their lives.
Great, thank you for all that information. That's awesome. So can you tell us how this department gets triggered? That people need to make an appointment to get involved? Are you all going in on calls during the potential crisis, or how does it work?
Yes. So the officers, we all have radios, we're still cops at the end of the day. So we listen to the radio. On the calls that we know are crisis calls, we go on them, but there may be other calls. You might get a call that's just a fight in progress. And then when patrol gets there, they realize, oh, okay, maybe this person needs other help. Maybe it's a domestic violence issue. Maybe they're a veteran. And then that's when they themselves or dispatch can call out to wellness to have us come to the scene. Or if we're not working, they actually leave the reports for us and get in contact with us through a numerous of ways with technology, whether it be by cell phone or by email. They contact the wellness division and they let us know what has happened and what individuals may benefit from some of the services that we can connect them to. So yes, we go on scene, but we also follow up. So it's a myriad of ways that you can actually have us get involved into a case.
And
Shelley?
something's happening to my computer. I don't know what it is. Okay, 1 second. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can. Okay, sorry about that. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, Project Lions, which I assume you're familiar with.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what you said?
Project Alliance. So
Yes.
Westchester County just started that with mental
Yes.
health issues. Is that separate? Do you work together with that?
Yes, we work in collaboration with any and all people. Theirs is more so crisis in the moment. So ours is more targeted on the holistic approach of dealing with them from not just the onset of the crisis, but following them and making sure whatever their services they need, just not in that moment that of the crisis, but continuing on. So we have some active individuals that we might may have to make multiple phone calls to, or throughout the weeks just following up and checking, okay, I connected you with this resource, did you follow through? And just making sure, because sometimes you have so much going on, you really want the help, but it's just so much you have to do that you need that person there with you to be like, okay, this is who we're calling today, okay, this is where you need to go, and just checking on them and making sure that they're handling the business that they need to handle.
And so do you receive support from the county or the state, or how does that work?
So support as in
financial or individual, whatever.
No financial support, but we're willing and accepting of all financial support anyone would be willing to give.
My goodness. That's pretty amazing that you all have figured out how to do this despite the fact that you're not receiving that support is incredible.
And the more support, then we could be a bigger unit. Like I said, you see the staffing. So we only have the 2 officers on each tour, and we're hoping to expand. But with staffing and manpower restraints, we're doing the best that we can with what we have. But like I said, anybody that's willing and able, we definitely would take the financial support. As far as the different other types of support of just working in collaboration, yeah, we don't have any issues. Everybody that's on this front is that everybody has the same goal. We want to help and serve people. So I haven't come into contact with anybody that's unwilling to work in partnership or collaboration. That's not something I'm coming across in any shape or form.
Sure. Paul, I think you had a hand raised. I was just wondering if you had something you wanted to add.
I was going to ask the question you just brought up, and that is funding for this program. I think it's very exciting that you're able.
So you have no budget?
Context of the...
Is there no budget at all, or you have a small budget, or how?
We have the police department budget, so it's nothing separate from wellness, but yeah, so just a regular funding that the city gives the police department.
Sure. Lucia, did you have something you wanted to ask?
Yeah, thank you for this information. I was curious to know a little bit more about kind of like your training, and I know you mentioned trauma-informed training, and then also with mental health training. Like, how many folks do you have who are kind of trained on mental health, and then also do all the folks who work there, like, what does the trauma-informed training look like? Just curious about that.
So prior to coming to the unit, we did an extensive training throughout the summer with different agencies that came in that DC LAC had set up for mental health. Also, each individual officer, we already received training on mental health and trauma informed and crisis training inside of the academy. So I've dealt with Mark my entire career. And he's fabulous. Big fan. So yeah, so we've taken that training, and as well as when we go on the calls for most of our calls in crisis, it's our emergency service unit that actually comes out with us. They're actually called first and then us. So they also have their extensive mental health training, and some of them are also, trained in more emergency services than us and dealing with the whole aspect of being more like an EMT. We come from more of the background of the mental health, kind of more like a social worker piece, and linking them with the different therapies. And then, as I said, in the morning, we do have the licensed therapist from the guidance center. So we basically, and that's where more so when I say we have to have an appointment to come to the precinct, it's more so because if she's doing the case management, making sure that she or he, whoever comes from the guidance center, is on location to be able to give them the services. Other than that, whatever we need on call, whether it be that we need to call, the mobile crisis team, whoever we need to reach out to in that moment for the individual, that's who we reach out to. So it's not a place where it's, okay, we only use this one resource. We use whatever resource, the people that will get the person the help that they need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
I'm wondering, are any other communities reaching out to you, asking you how you're doing this, and can you give them advice? Basic question: is there anyone else reaching out to you from other communities?
I know DC Lacquerts has lots of conversations. I'm not privy to all the different ones. I can't give you a standing number or names of people, but I know she's been having several conversations with different, organizations and departments of what it is that she's doing, even prior to us becoming an actual division, just being on a different police reforms and all her different ideas. I guess it was more like ideas, and now her baby is coming to fruition and we've actually come alive. It's just amazing to see just the thought process and going from just an idea to actually being out in the street and starting. And again, we're new, so hopefully right now the feedback has all been positive, and just hoping to see later on if we actually, the statistics to show and prove that we're actually decreasing the amount of contacts that these individuals in crisis are having with police officers.
So I'm sorry, did you say you're keeping statistics on those things at this point?
Yes, of course, yes.
Great. Mhm.
Mhm.
And I have another question. How do people know who you are? So if you go on scene, is there a difference between you and a patrol officer, or like a uniform or something?
Yes. So we don't wear an official, which you guys would consider the patrol uniform, the blue uniform. We don't wear that. We don't right now, like most likely you can only see my shirt, but you'll see us in like a plain shirt, or we have some shirts that have wellness officer on them, mostly polos you'll see us in. We do still have, weapons on us because we're still, at the end of the day, working police officers, but it's more of like a softer uniform and a softer approach. And we have gotten feedback from individuals that we've come in contact with that it made them feel a lot more comfortable talking to us based upon the way that not only we approach them, but also the look of, our uniform.
Julie, did
Before
you
you go
wanna-
to Julie, there's a question
Yeah.
Jill has been asking in the chat.
I was going to say that in addition to
Okay.
my own question. Yeah, go to the chat, Shelley.
Okay, so Jill, did you want to ask the question yourself?
Sure, I can do that. I really want to thank you for the work you're doing, and I actually have two questions. One is, if you could please share more details about the restorative justice work that you're doing. Restorative Justice Westchester is really interested in trying to know what's happening in the county so we can refer people to what's happening. And then my second question is, as we all know, Mount Vernon Police have had their share of challenges. And how are you received by your colleagues?
The colleagues are fine. It's just more so everybody's learning. This is a new and different approach. So it's more so, okay, well, what do we call wellness for? Because at the end of the day, when you read off those 8 populations, that's almost every call you could go on. You probably could fit someone into that category. And then as far as the restorative piece, one of the great things that was started by DC Lackard was, I don't know if everyone knows on the call, we have a youth court peer diversion program in Mount Vernon. So what we did was last summer we trained 13 youths, and right now we currently have 11 active. They were trained by the county attorney as well as the Mount Vernon Police Department. And so in sum and substance, when you have a youth that has been arrested for a crime that would fit whatever goes into the youth court program, instead of going through family court, they come through the youth court peer diversion program, in which they are judged by their peers, the different youths that have gone through the training. And instead of getting probation, they will get more of a restorative piece. They'll get the mediation. They'll be able to speak with the victim to realize the impact of what their actions have done, doing community service, and things of that nature. So we actually are with them on a lot further piece, and they also get a mentor. So it's really trying to get to the bottom line of, okay, why did you commit this crime? Did you really realize what the impact was, as opposed to, okay, you did something bad, this is your punishment, and then go on to the next case. And a person really doesn't learn or to see the impact of what their actions were, not only to them, but maybe the family members, the brothers, the sisters, the rest of the community, on what the actual impact of their crime and their actions takes on throughout the entire city. And then the other restorative pieces we've done, I've been inside the courtroom of Mount Vernon Police Department, dealing with folks who are part of our 8 populations, and talking with the judge and standing up for them and letting them know that this person really needs more mental health services than actually to be sent up to county jail, that won't benefit what they need going on in their life at this time. So trying to link them with other services and therapy to make sure that they're impacted, they don't actually have to go through the criminal justice system further than they already, because those people are already in the system, but trying to get them out and making sure that they don't get sentenced inside of the county jail for the crimes that they have committed due to one of the mental health crises, or whatever 8 populations they fit inside of the wellness vulnerable populations, what's going on in their life, trying to explain that to the Mount Vernon criminal court system, that they actually need further help, whether it be substance abuse, mental health, anything on those lines.
Is it possible to visit the youth court?
When we have trainings, Yes, I don't know about when we have a trial.
Mhm.
I would have to see about the actual, logistics on that, because it's still a juvenile,
Yeah,
but most definitely, if you want to come and visit while we're going through the trainings, because when they're not in trial, we still meet, and they go through different trainings, whether it be based upon a case that they're preparing for, or just learning more about the criminal justice system and doing community service and events. Then we're still meeting in the interim book when we don't have cases. So absolutely, if you want to connect with me, and I can get you into one of those sessions, that's absolutely fine.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Before we go to Julie and then Anne, I just wanted to mention, as long as Jill was talking about this, I guess my next question might be related to her and her services. Is there a plan to add civilians or any civilian groups, or is there a way that they can help you in the work that you do? And I'm thinking of the restorative justice as one possible example.
Yes, well, you have Kenyatta Hopkins, who's on the line. She's a civilian that works with us. She was a prior dispatch here at the Mount Vernon Police Department. So she is actually working inside of the office. And she's our criminal analyst there at the Wellness Division. We do work out with other groups, and especially like when we do reentry and stuff like that, we're dealing a lot with legal aid. We deal a lot with SNUG. We work with West Cop. So we have different organizations that we actually link the different individuals with, whether it be someone for reentry or youth. That is not just all mental health focused for the Wellness Division. It's a totality of all the different things that are going on, as far as just regular civilians helping, especially with anything. And it's just not the Wellness Division. Police Department is always open to working with the community, because there's no way that you can police this any city without working in collaboration with your community. So if there's things that will be said to them that we won't know, and there's things that we won't know that the community won't know, and unless we're working together, then there won't be a bridge of information to actually get the most work that we need to get done. So if everybody works on their different fronts, but together, you actually succeed more.
Okay, Julie?
First, I have to say that this is very exciting.
Yes.
And I really commend you and Ms. Lackard and others whose vision is for something more growth producing than punishment producing. And so thank you. And the other thing is, did you enumerate, or would you please, the 8 categories that
Yes.
people you deal with?
Okay, so it's youth, the aging and the elderly, veterans, homeless, domestic violence, substance abuse,
Mental
and
illness.
mental health.
Great, thank you.
Anne?
Yes, thank you so much. This is really inspiring. I'm in the village of Sleepy Hollow. Obviously, we're very different from you in terms of size and capacity. But there are a couple of things that I'm really interested in that you have done. First is to set up a specific wellness division, and to locate it outside the regular police headquarters. I guess it's another police headquarters, but it's
Yes.
not the central police headquarters. We have had some success recently with a program called Hearts, which is designed to ask parents to submit photographs and information about their autistic children, so that if they're found lost somewhere, the officers are trained in how to deal with them, and that they can be returned to their parent without trauma. And I was doubtful about this initially, wondering if many of our Hispanic population would be willing to send in their photographs. But it has actually there's been an instance where it was very successful, where a young autistic boy was very quickly returned to his parents. And this program was proposed by a couple of our Hispanic officers, and it was instituted at their suggestion. And so I'm wondering, who was it who came up with this, and if ideas come for improvements to what you're doing come from the community? Is that something that engenders more trust?
Your question is who came up with the wellness division? The
Yeah.
idea of it? That was Deputy Commissioner Lackard. Deputy Commissioner Lackard. As soon as she came, you know, she's the first civilian. So Police Commissioner Scott decided that he wanted something different for the police department when he was searching for his next deputy commissioner. And he located Deputy Commissioner Lackard with her extensive background and what she does, and she took what she was already doing and just attached it to the police department, and she's been running since day one. And she came into the building and she said, this is what I want to do. And I liked community stuff. And I said, I was in the detective division at the time. I said, DC, I don't know if they'll move me, but if whatever you're doing, I want to be a part of it. And I said, even if I have to do it off duty, I want to be a part of it. And we were able to actually move me over from the detective division into her new brainchild. But she definitely has the support of the city, the support of the mayor, the support of the police commissioner, because she was hired to actually do what she's doing. Because if you have police and with the same mentality attacking issues and crime in the same way that they've always done, it's a new set of eyes looking at it from a different perspective and going, okay, we'll try this. And so that's what the wellness division is. One of her ideas to go, we'll try this, and it's working. So
Wonderful.
Nada?
Yeah, thank you so much. This has really been a wonderful presentation, Lieutenant Mann. And well, I want to first congratulate you on a very impressive resume. You know, you were a social worker before you became involved with law enforcement. And it's funny because sometimes I've heard members of law enforcement say, we're not social workers, you know, so you come from that background. So I think that gives you a wonderful sort of lens with which to approach policing in the city of Mount Vernon. And also, before I ask my question, I wanted to say that we've been, unfortunately, over the past few years, been reading negative articles in the media about the Mount Vernon Police Department. And I'm so pleased that this is something that is groundbreaking for Westchester County. You know, the city of Mount Vernon Police Department is at the vanguard of this initiative. And I think that Westchester Coalition for Police Reform is really happy to uplift you and this initiative and show that, you know, despite all of your challenges in Mount Vernon, you're actually taking the lead on this wellness program that is responding to people's needs, that is diverting people from a racialized criminal justice system, and so much more than that. And also, I think you're one of the most senior female members of law enforcement in all of Westchester County. So that's also really impressive, and we congratulate you.
Thank you.
My question is, a little bit different than the wellness center. And, you know, if you're not comfortable answering, of course, you do not have to answer. But we also recently came to our attention an incident in the Greenberg Police Department with a female officer who actually filed a federal lawsuit alleging sexual harassment. And we read her indictment carefully. And when she described her experience as a female in this very heavily male-dominated profession, all the incidents she shared, to me, when I was reading it, I could very well imagine how, you know, the microaggressions of the male officers making her feel like, you know, she's not welcome, she's in the wrong profession. This is policing is meant for men, the machismo, all of that went with it. She might have been able to handle it differently. I don't know any of the details, but with you, with your experience as a woman, I'm just wondering if you're comfortable sharing what is it like for you to navigate being a woman in a very male-dominated profession, and how have you been able to survive the 17 years that you have?
It's coming from social work is very different because social work, it was majority women. And then coming into the police department, not only is it a male dominated profession, but it is a white male dominated profession. So oftentimes when I'm in the room, especially given my rank, if I'm not the only Black person, I'm definitely the only Black female in the room. So you learn to navigate all the time, and it's unfortunate or fortunate. It could be your crutch or it could be your superpower as being a person of color that you're used to in the society that you have to learn to navigate, because you're going to be the minority most places where you go, and other people are learning more so about you than you having to learn about them, because you've already learned to navigate through those fields. I never felt inferior because of my race or my gender. It just wasn't a thing. Like, you know, the history of policing, I knew that I would not have been picked had we stayed with that. I was the wrong gender, I was the wrong race, I was the wrong height, and I can't grow, and I can't change my race. Can probably I can change my sex, but that would be my gender. That would be about it. So you learn to always showing people that you can do what other people can do, and in a more male dominated world, and not necessarily always with policing, but just in real life, if you are a strong woman, your attributes are oftentimes characterized negatively. Whereas the man who has the same characteristics, it's called being a leader. It's called being a boss, where, you know, you're given negative traits for you doing the exact same work that they're doing in an exact same way in demeanor, but it's looked at differently. So I actually think that being who I am and in my gender, it makes you better, because you learn to deal with all different types of people, and learning that you can do whatever you want despite what their expectations and limitations of are you. That's not your only person that you're in competition with in this world is yourself. And I'm going to go as far as I want to go based upon what I want to do, not what ceilings you put in place for me. And I think that's attributed to when it, you know, as soon as I became the first lieutenant, we ended up having right back to back 3 more right after me. So now, you know, so it's like, as soon as you open that door, it's like, hey, we're here, and we're not going anywhere. But I have had, you know, people tell me that they didn't feel that women should be police officers. I have had people tell our interns that they should not try to become police officers or be in the military because they were women. So those ideologies are still out there, but just like the news that's going on about the Mount Vernon Police Department, it's not the sum and substance of who we are. The majority of the Mount Vernon Police Department are excellent workers. We do 150 million great things a day. That doesn't make the news. It's only the sensational things that they want to print. They're not out here following the stuff that we're doing to children. They weren't out here when we were doing the step-up programs and gyms and all those different things. They just weren't there. That's not what people want to read in the headlines. They want to read the bad stuff. They want to know all the negative things that's going on. But if you look at the department now, especially in Mount Vernon, we're the most diverse in all of Westchester County when it comes to not only, race but gender as well. You'll go in every division and you'll see a woman. You go in a lot of the departments that we have now are led by a woman. Our support service division is led by a woman. Our wellness division is led by a woman. So it's a new era, and it only takes time. It's just like the presidency of the United States. Now you have a woman vice president, so unfortunately it takes time to break some of those ceilings and getting rid of some of those old indoctrinated ideologies that people have, but it can be done. It's just like racism. You can't fight racism with hate, and you can't fight sexism with you being a sexist as well. So you just have to show and prove, and not necessarily treat everybody with love, not, cookie cutter, but just actually showing them, okay, I'm not going to be angry and be mad because you're angry and mad. I'm actually going to show you who I am and show you why what you think is wrong, instead of getting mad about what you're thinking about me.
Wonderful.
That was a wonderful answer. And I think that I can speak for the steering committee that we would love to stay in touch with you, Lieutenant Mann, because very often we are seeking the perspective of a law enforcement member, and it's not easy for us to have someone like you who's speaking very refreshingly, openly, and honestly with us. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Paul, did you have a quick one? I just want to be respectful of Lieutenant's time.
I just wanted to ask if the wellness division is having any success with homelessness in Mount Vernon.
With homelessness in Mount Vernon?
Yes.
Yes, as I said, so in the evenings, we partner with the Guidance Center of Westchester's Homeless Outreach Program. So there are two gentlemen that work on their team that come with us, work with us every night, Monday through Friday. And they go out and try to find folks who don't have permanent housing and set them up with permanent housing, or either try to, at least for the night, get them into shelter. There are individuals who we have identified that refuse our services. They do not want to live in a shelter. But we just continue to keep trying. We do have one young lady that's a success story it took a couple of times. This is not something that you just speak with one person one time and then move on. You have to continue to engage because they have their different reasons on why they don't want to get permanent housing. But she's finally come around and is willing to accept the help. So, and that came from an officer contacting the wellness division through an email and saying, hey, I just drove by such and such location and I saw a woman in a car. I think she was homeless. I don't know. Can you check up on it? And we did. And then we linked up with the Guidance Center and gave them the information to try to help the young woman as well. So.
Fantastic. All right. Well, again, as many of the people have reiterated, we think you're doing fantastic work. We do hope that we can continue to maintain a relationship with you, and clearly the kind of work you're doing will improve police community relations, which is what we are about. So, and getting help to those that need it. So kudos to you, and thank you again for taking the time to speak with us, and hopefully we could certainly have you here for 2 hours and still get more information. But we do want to be respectful of your time, and so
I'm just
we can
wondering
come
before
back.
you close out, Shelley, if Ms. Hopkins has anything any thoughts or
Sure.
comments
Absolutely.
or before we let me just.
As a civilian, like Lieutenant Mann said, DC Lackard is definitely a visionary. I'm very pleased to be in a new position within the department. Like Lieutenant Mann said, I've been with the police department since 1999 as a dispatcher. And in March, I transitioned over into the criminal analyst role. I see the hard work that goes into, starting up a wonderful unit or division such as this. And it actually aligns with my other line of work because I'm an elementary school teacher in the district. So I get to see both sides, especially with the youth court. I'm able to intervene and speak to scholars that I was previously their teacher, and then I see them get in trouble. So it helps me kind of build bridges as well. So I'm in a wonderful position under great leadership, and I can't wait to see what else we can do for the city of Mount Vernon.
Great, great. Well, thank you both again for sharing your time with us tonight and for speaking with us. And we hope to see you again. And we hope you have continued success. And if there is anything you can think of that we can help with, please feel free to reach out to me. And we, because of course, you know how to get in touch with me. So if there's anything we can do, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. And I just want to say, if everyone can see, Ms. Hopkins is actually in the wellness precinct. So then what you see in the background is part of our little small office of where we work. And again, I just want to thank everyone for allowing us the opportunity to be invited to come and speak about it. The more people know about it, the more people will use it. And so we thank you. And Shelley knows where I met her from. So I'm a fan of Moms Demands Action. I'm a fan of the Institute. I really had a great time. That time I was there and spoke with them. And that's why I smiled as soon as she said, I was like, oh, I remember. And then for her to remember, that was amazing. I'm like, wow, it touched me. So for her to remember, I'm like, wow, because that was a big experience for me. I had a great time that day. Actually still have the t-shirt. But yeah, so thank you guys very, very much for having us on the call, and anything that we can do to support what you're doing. And hopefully there's some things that you can help us and support us so that we can better serve the city of Mount Vernon. We appreciate any and all help. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, guys, have a good night.